Hello guys, it's been probably 3 months. I think the last video I made, I updated you guys for July and August of my trading journey. And to be honest, the whole YouTube thing of trading isn't really for me. I'm not really a huge fan of uploading every single week. I was in the beginning when I started it probably a year ago, but I got a bit burnt out of it. If any of you do this yourself and upload to people of your trading results, it can be a bit challenging. I've found because you do face a lot of criticism in the way you trade, but at the end of the day, you just want to focus on what you're doing and trade your plan, basically. You don't need loads of people inputting what you're doing. The reason I do share my journey and my results is not to try to get people to criticize what I'm doing or how I trade or X, Y, Z. It is instead to try motivate people that feel they're in a similar situation to me, who've been trading for a couple of years and are not profitable as of yet. That is the objective, to make sure people do not feel they are alone, because trading is a very, very lonely thing. You know, at the end of the day, it's you and your charts. That's it. Unless you're part of a community or whatever it is, you will trade pretty much by yourself. So that is why I make these videos, because I want to make sure people feel motivated and they feel like they're not alone in this boat. There's other people in the boat with them, even if they can't see them. Before I want to say anything else, I will say I have passed my phase 1 of my 200k FTMO challenge. I will go on the dashboard very shortly and show you it and prove to you the certificate and whatever else you want to see. But this has been a long time coming. I've had this account now for 2 years, 1 month. So I started it at the start of October in 2023. Now, when I first bought the account, which was a 200,000 US dollar account, which is equivalent to around, I can't even remember at this point. I believe it was around 800 or 900 euros, which is about 700 Great British pounds, give or take. I believe it was. Do not quote me on that. It could be completely different. I've completely forgotten how much I paid for it at this point. But I bought it during a point in time where I never had a proper clear direction of a trading plan. I never really knew what I was looking out for and things like that. I was sort of trading on impulse a little bit. And during that journey, I joined a trading community and learned a new way of trading. And that is through We Trade Waves. If you've never heard of them, they combine different types of trading into one concept, and it works very, very well. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And using that, I have now passed phase 1 of my challenge. Now, what I struggled with during these 2 years, I will say 100%, no one probably I've met or heard of has spent 2 years on a single phase of a challenge of an FTMO account or any other prop firm. That is beyond what it should take. It should probably only take you a couple of months, realistically, depending how of an aggressive trader you are and how many opportunities you get. But if you're a profitable trader, it should probably only take you, I'd say, a maximum of 6 months, like absolute maximum, you know. But it took me a lot longer than that. And some of the reasons was is that I was inconsistent. And when I bought it at a wrong period of time. I bought it before I was profitable, before I could prove to myself I actually could trade, you know, and I never really had a clear direction. So the account was up and down in every single direction. That's the first point. Second point, I never really had a grasp on my trading psychology. Now, I think this is a big, big part of trading. You know, you need to make sure you have a grasp in it and properly understand what it means to be a trader. Trading isn't about being right every trade. It's about following a set of procedures over and over and over again, consistently, even if you're winning or losing. That is what it really comes down to. You have a proven plan that you know works, a proven strategy that works, your risk management, take profit, whatever it is. There are loads of things in your plan. Follow it because you've proven that it works. So the moment you go off course and you do not follow it and you start questioning it, that is when you'll start failing. That is one thing I like to grasp. It took me a very, very long time to grasp that as well. But I've definitely come to the point where when I see profits on my screen or losses on my screen, it simply doesn't affect me. I look at it and I just feel nothing. And You may think that sounds weird if you haven't experienced that yourself, but I think that is the best way to be in trading. When I passed this challenge and I watched my final trade get me to take profit to that 10%, I felt absolutely nothing. I just had 2 years in this account, but when I passed it, it felt like nothing else. It was just another trade. But I think that is the peak that a lot of us try to get to. That is the peak where a lot of us want to be, because previously in this account, I'll show you very shortly, I got very close to that 10% profit mark quite a few times actually. Throughout the years, I mean, probably even the first couple of months, I was up 8-9% in profit on that account, 1% away from passing it like a year and a half ago. And I failed because back then I was very new, didn't have a proper grasp of my psychology. And when I got so close to passing it, I couldn't mentally handle it and I made mistakes. I got fear of taking a trade. So a trade that I could have taken, which would have passed me it, I wouldn't take it because I was too scared that it would take me away from that 10% mark that I was aiming to hit. Anyway, let me now switch over to my FTMO account and I'll show you my new account that I've just been given, the new 200,000 one for the phase 2, and also all my results for the phase 1 over the 2 years and 1 month I've been trading. So here we are on my dashboard, and as you can see, here at the top is my new verification 200,000 account. Is ready to go. I have not taken a single trade in it yet, as I only passed this challenge 2 days ago. And here we are. Here it is. FTMO history, FTMO challenge. Here it is. Ended 30th of October 2025. Ended and it's passed. If we go on analysis of it, and this is where we really see all the ins and outs of this. Here you can see my last couple of trades I taken. I basically got from the 0% mark to the 10% mark within 3 days of trading. It was very quick. The reason being, I had some monster trades, and I'll actually see if I can go down and show them. It might be under metrics. I might have to go under metrics. Give me 2 seconds. But yes, it should be in here. So here we go. You can see the 10%. The lowest I ever went down was 2.5%. The biggest I ever lost in 1 day was 2.3. Minimum 4 days trading. I hit that way out the park, basically. But here are my last couple of days of trading. And as you can see, it's these 3 that really got me over the mark. So I made 3.3K in this day, which is just under, it's like 1.5%. 12,000, which is a huge trade on Euro AUD, my mistake, which is 6%. And then the final trade, which was on a Euro US dollar long position, which made me the final about 3.5% to push me over the mark to get that 10%. And yeah, I did the last profit. I was at 0 on the 27th. As you can see right here, 200,399 balance on 27th. And at the end of it, the 30th, so within 3 days, I hit that 10% mark. It took 3 days to go from 0 to 10% when I had the account for 2 years and 1 month. Now, you may look at that and think that was lucky, but I think I sort of just actually pulled the trigger. I could have done this a long time ago. I just simply got on my own way and didn't allow myself to do it. Now, here's where I think the actual interesting analytical part of this account is, because this account will, at least for me, at least go in history as probably one of the biggest hurdles I've ever had to overcome within trading. And as you can see, here it is. The 2nd of October 2023 is the start date of this account, end date 30th October 2025. And as you can see, the ups and downs of this account, loads and loads and loads. And this is where I got up to the 9%. Very close. That was 100 trades in. So that was only a couple of months within the journey because I was scalping at that period of time. But also keep in mind, it's very important to remember that before we look at the analytical and read through all this, I traded many different systems over the time I had this account. That's why I'm actually quite grateful to get rid of this, because the statistics on this account are very inaccurate for how I trade currently. That's what's very important. You can't just look at this and say my win rate was 42.09%, but that has been over many different trading styles, scalping, swing trading. There's so many things that have changed over this 2-year period of time of how I've been trading that I am going to pretty much ignore most of this. And I got to the profit target, even though it was a negative win rate, My profit target is because I had a risk to reward ratio of 1.58. So you have a positive risk to reward ratio, even with a negative win rate below 50%. When I mean negative, you can still make profit on the account. But like I said, this isn't very accurate because I've changed my trading many times during this period of time. So it says I opened 373 positions in total with an average of 2.4 per day. And they consider it a less active way of trading, which to me, I'm quite surprised they consider 2.4 positions a day a less active way of trading, to be honest with you. Because to me, that just sounds like day trading. It's not scalping with 10, 20 trades a day. But to me, I think that is a very active way of trading, to be honest. And as you can see here, 42.09% win rate and the risk to reward 1.58. And that's how I got that 10% result. What else can it say here? My average profitable trade was $931, which is actually only 0.5% on the account because it's a 200,000 account. So it's just shy of the 0.5% mark. Then the average loss was 589, which is just above the 0.25% mark. So it's probably around about 0.26%, the average loss in the account, which is very low because majority of the period of time I traded this account, I wouldn't risk 1% a trade. I would actually risk 0.5%, and that's more than likely why the average is so low. As you can see here, the ratio between the maximum reach profits, the max profit I made was 12,742, and the maximum loss I made in a single day, which was 3,174, which is 1.5%, I believe, on a single trade. And then obviously the total profit for the evaluation period, $20,063, which is past that 10% curve. It is a bit surreal, I have to admit. There are many statistics and more stats you can see in here. I mean, if you scroll down, you can see my most traded pair, which is Euro-US dollar, which you guys, if you've been around for the journey, you know I trade this solely for a very long period of time. But my most profitable pair I traded was Euro-Aussie by quite a far margin, it seems, actually. This is 21,699 profits. So maybe I should just stick with this pair, to be honest, That might do me well in the future, but I am still new to this whole trading thing. I've been doing it 3 years, which granted can sound like a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, 3 years isn't very long to be trading. I think my trading will still adapt over time, hopefully for the better. But yes, I'm very much in a place now where I believe I can stay consistent and stay profitable. Now, if we go on the certificates, here where you can actually see, I'll prove to you. Here is 30th of October. I'm not going to download it because it'll cause me hassle, but here it is. 30th of October 2025, Jason Glaze, which is my full name. Past FTMO challenge. So very happy about that. And it's, as I said, a long time coming. Here it is, my new 200,000 account. Now, what I love about this, as many of you know, you only have to hit a 5% mark on it. That is all you have to hit. I haven't opened a single trade yet. All my stats are reset. But that 5% mark should be quite easy for me. It very much should be, because if we go on the previous account and we look at, actually it might be easier to do it on the analysis part. I've hit, if we look at the balance curve here, I got up to that 10% mark many times, and I stayed above it many times. I kept going up into it multiple times. I would say probably at least 7-8 times I went into that, above that 5% mark, and I stayed in it for a very long period of time also. So that 5% profit target shouldn't be a problem. I think I'll more than likely hit it. I wouldn't say before the end of this year, but I mean, it really depends how the market treats me and if I see any good trades, but it is possible before the end of the year, but I'm not going to rush it, because I think the moment you start rushing yourself, the moment you start trying to force trades and whatever else it is, which is very bad on your trading. If you don't want to be feeling rushed because you'll be taking incorrect trades, making mistakes, things like that. So I'm not, because it is unlimited, I'm not going to rush myself in it. So if I see trades, I'll take them. Simple as that, just another trade. No emotion attached. But yes, I definitely do think this one, the second account, will be a lot quicker than the first one. I think the first one had a much bigger, I would say, psychological burden on me almost. You know, it was sort of eating away at my psychology, and now it's done, out the way. I can move on from it and look for better things. I do apologize again for not updating you consistently, but personally, I think it's been a lot better for my trading. You know, I didn't want to be updating you every single week, every single month if I'm losing trades, you know, whatever it is. I just didn't feel it was healthy for me, especially when I have people criticizing the way I trade and saying, how are you not profitable yet? You know, it's just not very nice. So I just want to update you guys because I feel I owe it to all of you who have been supporting me for as long as you have been, that we finally did it. We finally made it. We've passed the challenge and on to bigger and better things now with phase 2. 5% is the next target. I'll probably not update you live when I'm taking that account, but I will definitely make sure to make another video when I pass that phase 2 and have access to the proper funded account. Thank you guys very much for watching. I very, very much appreciate it. If you're here, I can't believe you're still here supporting the channel. It's very, very much appreciated. All the love. Anyway, guys, it's been Glaze. Thank you for watching. I'll speak to you at some point whenever I pass this next phase of my FTMO challenge. I hope your trading is going very well also for you. Bye-bye, guys. See you later.